Hey, RecLess fans, this is Tom here, and I'm proud to announce that this episode and all of Season 5 is brought to you by our friends at Civic Plus. For all of our Parks and Rec pros, do you ever feel like you're constantly putting out fires? Registrations, facility bookings, team calendars, it's nonstop juggling. And all that admin work? It's keeping you from what really matters, serving your community. That's where Civic Plus comes in. Their comprehensive parks and recreation management solution streamlines everything, from online registration to facility scheduling and payments, all in one place. Parks and Recreation Management by Civic Plus automates the busy work that bogs you down so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time creating unforgettable programs for your residents. Civic Plus is the trusted partner of thousands of high-performing civic leaders, helping them balance better services with limited resources. With over 25 years of experience and a team of 900 experts, Civic Plus powers over 10,000 organizations and touches 340 million lives every day. If you're ready to trade burnout for impact, then visit civicplus.com. The best run local governments run on Civic Plus technology. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Season 5 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter and more knowledgeable about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venniro, three career-long friends from across the country bringing you a surprise guest each episode. Listen in on a great conversation, maybe take some notes, and definitely enjoy a couple of laughs. This is RecLess.
What's the weather like for y'all there?
It's freezing, man. It's like frost in the morning. So it's in the
54 right now here.
Yeah. I've heard Texas and Florida. Well, all those areas. I'm assuming it has something to do with the hurricane.
I guess you hate to say you're happy for that, but we'll take the cooler weather. I mean, it was 82 2 days ago, and then this huge windstorm blew in, and I think the high was 60, maybe. It's 54 right now.
Yeah, we're at I think we peaked the last couple of days at like 49, 50. So it's not I guess too far off from you all, but we don't have any end in sight for us now. It just basically consistently looks like 50, 50, 50, 50, and then the mornings are freezing and the nights are freezing. So
is Buffalo, Rochester a snowbird community? Like, do they have people that go to Florida for the winter or whatever?
Oh yeah. Yep, absolutely. Typically,
did you ever have family that did that? Like, did your grandparents or aunt and uncles or anybody just say, see you in 6 months or whatever?
One of my grandparents used to do that, yeah, but it wasn't as long. It wasn't as long. But yeah, there are people, they'll typically head out in November or, either maybe before or after Thanksgiving and then come back in April.
That's crazy. You don't see them for 5 or 6 months, huh?
Nope. The heck's Jaybird?
Oh, Jaybird. Hannah was listening to the episode and what influencers or whatever. Hannah said she didn't know if it's an influencer, but she says Jay dads me. Just dads me. Yeah, just shakes his head disappointingly every time I do something or say something.
Yeah, he is the dad of the group.
Yes.
The disappointed dad.
I know.
I asked Melissa about the Sesame Street characters and she nailed them.
Really?
Oh, yeah, just as everybody else said.
Oh, here's Jay. We got to be on our best behavior now. The dad's here.
What's up, guys? Let me see.
Hey, what's up?
All right, guys, you ready to go?
I'm good. Let's do it.
Okay. Shane, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Welcome to RecLess, everyone. We are now in episode 11 of season 5. Our little 90. Podcast. Yeah, it's our 90th?
Yeah.
Wow.
Believe
Didn't
that.
know that. I've lost track of the total now.
Who would have thunk it?
Who knew? Well, it is a little passion project of ours to bring our world of parks and recreation to those of you who may listen. And as always, I am here with my good friends Shane Mize and Jay Tryon. How you guys doing today?
I'm good. I'm actually thinking in my head, how can I do something fun at 99 and then not show up for 100 or quit on 100 or something just to mess with you guys.
Look at that. Dad gang in full effect over here. We were talking about how you dad us. You look disappointingly at us when we're doing our little bits. You just
How
shake your
so?
head.
So,
Here. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
it's good stuff. How about you, Shane? How are we doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, it's I was telling Tom it's like a crisp 55 degrees here, which is rare for us. So it's been nice. People getting out their jackets and their vests and stuff.
Jay, did you guys have some hurricane residual at all or nothing?
No, I mean we've had some rain this week, but
Yeah,
nothing
nothing crazy.
significant.
Okay. Okay. And big win, big Buffalo Bills win on Sunday. You got to attend a game in your now hometown.
Yep, we had a good time.
Good. Was there more Bills fans than Panthers fans?
Yeah, and it wasn't even close. It was probably
Really?
like 70-30, to be
It
honest.
seemed loud when the
Yeah.
Bills were doing good things. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people that have relocated to the Carolinas or, Virginia, Georgia, and anyone that has a remote fandom of Buffalo is going to come to that game because it's a close drive and, tickets are easy to find. They're not cheap, but they're not hard to find.
nice. Well, glad you got to enjoy it. Glad you got the W back
Yeah.
on track. Still behind the Patriots, no big deal. But the Bills are back in the win column. So let's move forward today. I want to start with we talked a little bit about this. Actually, kind of runs off the heels. Didn't plan this. I love how that happens sometimes. Our episodes seem to bleed into. So last episode we had the communication team from NRPA. We talked about a lot, but what I'm specifically talking about right now is how they have a responsibility and somewhat almost it's kind of a burden. It's a lot on their shoulders to promote this profession. Right? They are essentially a voice that we can use, a microphone that we can use to help us, obviously, on the day to day. And they're doing a lot behind the scenes, working through either research or other departments to try to tell our story. And so we've talked about the Career Choice Campaign. That's a partnership between NRPA and the NRPA Com team, had a lot to do with that. And then the other partners are the Academy and Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society. Jay, you sat on that committee. Shane, you attended the session at NRPA, and I had the pleasure to be a part of that session with Tim Hurd, who pretty much led this entire effort, former executive director of Pennsylvania.
Distinguished professional.
And yes, the 2025 NRPA Distinguished Professional doesn't get any higher than that acknowledgement. And then, of course, a good friend of ours, Meredith Lawrence, was also a part of that session. So my question for you guys, we've talked a little bit about, we definitely mentioned that we don't do a great job of being our own microphones. We're a little humble about the profession, and we don't typically do the best we can to promote it. We've also talked about, so I'm not going to ask you what have you done or what are you doing, but I want to know what the both of you through the process, either Jay through being on that committee, myself for being a part of that session on the committee, and Shane, you from going to the session. It's kind of a little unique perspective, but as a session attendee, what was something that you've learned through the process that was maybe newer to you that you said you've almost uncovered a little bit of a secret sauce or something that you might be able to put in your arsenal going forward that you were surprised about, that you didn't really think of, and that career choice campaign or this session brought to life for you? And I'll give you all a minute to think about that. And for me, going through that process, especially working with some of the really, really great individuals, there's a slide that we talked about, or a few slides, and this actually ties into our MWR guests, Bunny Allen and John Prue. A lot of that conversation, if you remember, was these are the great perks of being a part of MWR. It's not just about, okay, what are we going to be doing on the day to day? What is our salary range? Although I think people would be surprised if they really understood that as well. And maybe that's another conversation for another day. But for us, I want to really amplify the perks of this profession. There are a lot. Yes, we just talked about in our pre-show banter about how, okay, you got to go to a council meeting here and there, maybe once, twice a month. You put in some weird hours, but think about the perks, and maybe we just don't do a good job enough of amplifying that to individuals. Yes, of course, you're not going to be, especially in municipal parks and recreation, you're not going to be millionaires, most likely, but the salaries aren't terrible. They're catching up to other departments, absolutely in my area anyway. But on the flip side of that, do we do a good enough job selling that, hey, look at the benefits, the health cares, the leave times that a lot of us get through our agencies, the conferences, the abilities to network. That I don't believe that's a commonality in all of the other professions that individuals are aspiring to be in, maybe because of the money as opposed to the job itself. And then, of course, we do, I think, talk a little bit, but not enough about the impact that we have with people's lives. But then also just the places it can take you. And that was one of the questions we asked the comm team last week, was that job that they have through NRPA is a kind of a microcosm of our profession. They get to go to all these conferences, they get to meet all these people, and we have a lot of that opportunity as well. Maybe not everybody's going to a national conference, but maybe it's a state or a local, or it's just something in their job that they're allowed to do. For example, if you had someone who's overseeing senior trips, that individual might be going on a senior trip every month. That's an 8 hour, 10 hour trip that they're going somewhere really cool, experiencing, maybe something that they haven't experienced before, and it's just part of the job. So, I think for me, it was a lot of talking about how do we articulate maybe the soft perks of the job, or the sell that isn't just on paper. And on paper, you see a number. This is what you're going to make, and here's a couple bullet points of what you're going to do. But that does not tell the story of what we're doing on a day to day. And I think the amazing work that we have the opportunity and privilege to be doing every day.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you brought up some of the benefit side of it, because Lindsay and I were actually just having a conversation yesterday, because as you think about the progression of your career, you obviously start thinking more long term about retirement and about when that can become a reality, and if you want to retire at a certain age, how you get there. In our profession, it's a lot easier to do that than other professions. For our case in point, I have a pension, and most people a lot of these days don't have pensions. So obviously you invest in the 401k or other areas of investments that's going to help you, but your pension is a total different animal that, like, Lindsay's never had that opportunity to think about that, but like, we're obviously going to rely on that. And like, it's crazy to think this way. I'm 42 years old, but if I wanted to retire in 10 years, I could, because of having 20 years in our state, and I'll hit 30 and we'll have full pension, full everything. And like, not many people can say that they can do that comfortably at 52 years old. So that's definitely a major perk that's probably not talked about very often.
No, and I'll add just one thing to that too about that. I love that you brought up the pension or retirement plans, or maybe some deferred compensation that are offered to us. The healthcare benefits, I think that individuals who are indoctrinated into the municipal work, they take for granted that piece. I've seen it with a lot of different departments, not just Parks and Recreation, but let's just say your organization puts up 80%, heck, 50% of a healthcare plan. Where does that happen in the private sector? It's very rare. When we see rising healthcare costs, or whatever it may be, inflation, and maybe a municipality says, okay, we're going from 80 to 75, there's a huge uproar internally. But the grass isn't always greener. You can leave somewhere, you can leave and go somewhere tomorrow, and you're not getting any of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Hannah and I were also just talking about retirement and what options would be ahead of us and what we would do. And I mean, I'm vested in our park system. I mean, in my retirement system, I'm in my 21st year in the Texas municipal retirement system, and there's over $500,000 in an account that I could just retire today. 7 years from now, it gets to $1 million. Like, it starts to double really quick. And I think there's a lot of people, and I get great benefits and good coverage, and we pay a healthy premium, but I have coverage unlike people in the private sector. And so, no, that was a great point, Jay, and something that I think we should continue to hammer home. Like, here is what you get paid. You're a rec programmer, rec coordinator, you get paid $57,000 or $64,000 a year, but the value really is your 2-to-1 match and your benefits and everything else. If you went and tried to find that job in the private sector at some Kalahari or something, you're going to need 85, not 65. Like, you're not trying to get 1,000 more than the 64 you're making. You're going to need to get 20,000 more than the 64 you're making to to equal the value that you're getting from that agency. So I think for me, it's just a constant reminder of my park and rec privilege or park and rec biases that and we've had these discussions just off the cuff when we see someone, I think some ways, at least on my side, I won't say y'all were ignorantly having these discussions or thought process, but I remember all of us having a discussion when someone like now, a good buddy of ours, Michael Biedenstein, would have transferred from the Parks and Rec world, quote unquote, at St. Louis County to NRPA. There's a discussion if we even consider them a park and rec professional. They're an association professional now. They're not really in the industry. And I think as I've continued to grow and interacted more, not only with my association, but with people like Craig Bauk, who came on and said he said he was a different guest than we had brought in the past because he was Parks and Rec adjacent. I almost look at the term Parks and Rec, and when we think of that die in the wool programmer, aquatics person, camp specialist, and that's kind of, or a park maintenance staff, and that's kind of always what we thought of a park and rec professional. But why wouldn't you consider someone like Craig a park and rec professional? He's literally building rec centers all day long for people, for communities to enjoy for the next 50 years or longer. And so that video showed so many different people and when I was sitting in that presentation, showed so many different profiles of quote unquote park and rec professionals, the trail, the person that was making the trail, the naturalist, the conservationist. I think Tim was a conservationist or a naturalist growing up, an educator at some point, like he wasn't this quote unquote, he didn't run camps or come up through the park op side or whatever. Now he's running or did run the Pennsylvania Parks and Rec State Association. And once again, I would think of all those people as park and rec professionals. I think that term, I used to ignorantly think it had to apply to someone that was actually in Parks and Rec. And I think now it loosely really applies to a lot of people that may not work for a municipality, but what they're doing absolutely serves the people in the industry. Even though I'm 21 years in, and even though we bring on park adjacent people all the time, I'm constantly reminded about the wide berth this industry provides you. I mean, you could be a trail designer and you can be a park and rec professional and you can make a decent living going around just designing trails for a community. And then you go to the other part of the world and do it again. And you go somewhere else and you do it all over again. And so that was a good reminder for me.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I really enjoyed that conversation that we just had. No, I appreciate you indulging, and really, really great perspective. So with that, let's move into our guest today. All right. So some of the clues, we're going to see if you all can maybe put some pieces to the puzzle together before we officially announce our guest. But our guest
question marks.
Yes, 4 question marks. What's one more than 3?
That's
so
right.
Our guest has been to all 50 states. Impressive.
I got an idea.
Really? Shane, how many states have you been to? Maybe 5, and 3 of them we've been. No, I'm just kidding. All the national conferences.
Yeah.
So, all
How
right.
many states did you go to willingly?
5.
All right. Our guest has been in the field as we know the field. So talking about kind of the profession as we know it, as you mentioned, Shane, maybe in the municipality type of sector since 2022, but they've been in the workforce since 2008. So you might consider this individual a transplant and a kind of a poster child of, when we say a choice career, an individual who discovered this career. A lot of people discover the career as opposed to seek it out in college or wherever it is, which is obviously part of the problem, right? We want people to hear it early and often. But all right, so our guest is also a certified pickleball instructor. Shane already has some thoughts on that, I could tell. Our guest was born in Gary, Indiana, but grew up in Rockville, Maryland. They won the NRPA. Sorry, Jay, did you have something?
No, one of my favorite bands is from Rockville, Maryland.
Okay.
Who's this band?
Fun fact. Who's your band?
I'm not going to say. I want to see if the guest knows.
Okay. All right. It's a rapid fire question there. Our guest won or received the NRPA 30 under 30 recognition in the same year that their state association recognized them as an outstanding new professional. Our guest co-chaired their state's 2025 state conference, and our guest is a star making an appearance in the career choice video that we just talked about.
Okay.
So we have one of the interviewees, one of the stars of that video. Any guesses? Okay.
Did
That's
they
all right.
apply for a job in
The next two are going to
Pflugerville?
potentially give this guest away. Our guest did apply once for a job in Pflugerville.
Oh boy.
So this might be a little awkward.
Yep.
Did
Why would they
Yes,
do that?
our
Yeah.
guest, our guest was our moderator and did such a lovely job of introducing us in NRPA during our session 75 lessons
Heavenly.
learned from the
Well,
pod
Oh,
class. It's the current recreation program coordinator of Susquehanna Township, Pennsylvania. Please welcome Heavenly Smith.
hello.
hey, that's awesome.
Hi,
How's it going?
it's going good.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, and I said this before you kind of heard through our rambling in the beginning that we had the NRPA communication team on last week, and this was I had asked you before because that wasn't my guess, that was Jay's surprise to us, three individual guests, but this plays really well into some of the conversation we had there, and telling a little bit of your story and learning a little bit more about you. I've gotten a chance to meet you a couple times, first in Pennsylvania, and then of course in NRPA as well. And you're doing amazing things. You're taking this profession by storm, and you're putting your name out there, and it's all great. I think a model of what we just talked about of someone who found this career, but it wasn't necessarily your intended career. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Your journey as someone who found out about Parks and Recreation, from some of the job experience that you shared with me with Susquehanna Township since 2022. So tell us about your journey. How did you find this current role that you're in? And then of course you're in that video, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you found by being now in the Parks and Recreation field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny when I can remember, being 13 years old in 2008 and my mom being like, "All right, time to get a job now." And I was, interested in God knows what, I have no idea. But my mom was friends with the general manager of a local gym. And he was like, "Well, our childcare at the gym is hiring, and, the hours are flexible. They're only open, nights and weekend mornings." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, I'll try that. I like kids. I'm the oldest sibling, so I have experience with kids." And I did that job from the end of eighth grade to I think I left that gym. They're no longer they're not existing gym anymore. I left that gym my senior year of high school. I started in childcare and then worked front desk, and so that's where I learned, I would say, the core of my customer service skills. And I did some other jobs too in high school. I worked as a host at a restaurant outside of DC, and I worked at a summer camp one summer after I graduated high school, and like before I would have gone off to college. And I had no idea what I wanted to do at all. I thought that I wanted to go to college for kinesiology. I'd worked in gyms for so long that health and fitness was kind of embedded in me at that point. So I was like, yeah, kinesiology makes sense. Become a personal trainer or a physical therapist, something like that. I quickly realized that I did not want to go to college, which was a very interesting choice that I made. And I got certified to be a personal trainer. And I worked in a gym for about a year as a trainer. The issue is that doing it as a job made me lose my love for it as a hobby. So if I'm in the gym, 6 hours a day, I don't want to be there that last hour for my own workout. And I kind of realized like my health and fitness, my personal health and fitness is a lot more important than, doing it as a job. So I switched gears a little bit and went into health and fitness in the retail world. So I worked for Vitamin Shop, which kind of utilized my skills as a personal trainer, right? Like understanding macronutrients and micronutrients and protein and supplements and things like that. And I started out as like a key holder. I think I was like 20. I remember like a month after me starting, them being like, "Do you want to be an assistant manager? Like, you're really good." And I was like, "What? I'm 20 years old. Like, I'm shocked you guys trust me with the key." I said yes, because I can't say no to anything. It's really bad. It's my worst flaw. And I, moved to Pennsylvania with that job. And then where I was living, it was kind of a longer commute. And I was like, this isn't really ideal for me right now. And I want more leadership experience. I want to, work at a bigger team, and retail's kind of working for me right now. So there was an Ulta, which is like a makeup and cosmetics store opening in the town that I was living in, and that's not my specialty at all, like at all. But I was like, you know what? They have more staff. I can get more leadership experience. It could be fun. And it was closer to home. It was like a 5-minute commute as opposed to like a 45-minute commute. So I took that job, moved with that job from that town to Harrisburg, got really tired of those retail hours. Black Fridays, not fun to work, especially in a big box store like that. And I was getting married soon. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just find like a little like 9 to 5, nothing too serious. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. So I got a job as a teller at a bank, which not for me. Like I lasted maybe a little bit over a year with that bank, and I was like, this is not it. I see the same people every single day. So it was really nice to make connections, but really hard to like really flex my social skills. And I decided to go back into retail and into a smaller space. I worked for Athleta, which is like they're owned by Gap, and I loved it. It was a great team. Gap is a really cool company. They do a lot for the community. I was their assistant manager of community outreach. So we would bring yoga studios in. We would do off-site shop parties at local gyms. It was really wonderful. And then again, I got tired of retail hours, and the YMCA near me was hiring. And it's not a branch YMCA, which is really interesting. So Pennsylvania's YMCA, or the Central Pennsylvania YMCA, has what's called the Center for Healthy Living. And they focus on just their programs. So they have a bunch of, what was the wording that they use? Evidence-based programming, Live Strong, smoking cessation, things like that. And they had just gotten a grant from the state of Pennsylvania to promote Penny, which is our health insurance marketplace. If you don't have health insurance, you go to penny.com, you get health insurance there. The grant was for us to go to every single county in Pennsylvania, host a health fair in that county using that county's resources. So their local YWCA, their local Veterans Affairs Committee, their local health system, hospital chain, grocery stores, anyone that had things to provide to the community. And we would partner with them. We'd host a health fair at their local YMCA, and then we'd move on to the next county. That was really great. It was really fun. I got to travel a lot. Some parts of Pennsylvania I didn't really want to go to. There's some counties that don't have hotels. So that was really interesting. And then one day I was just scrolling through LinkedIn, and my director, Doug, who I wasn't connected with at all, I saw that Susquehanna Township was looking for a program coordinator. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll try that. I'll at least apply. And it was kind of an older post. Like the post had gone up like a month and a half before I saw it. So I just emailed him and I was like, hey, are you still hiring for this? I'm really interested. I'm really connected in the community. I really have a passion for community, serving my community. And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, I'd love to have you in for an interview. And 3 days later, he sent me an offer letter. So.
And you've been there now for 3 years. And,
yeah.
I guess just to kind of follow up on that, from your experiences to where you've gone to where you are now, what about this job now feels like this is it? This is what I've been looking for.
I think I would not be as good at my job as I am right now if I hadn't done all those other things, managing teams, small teams and large teams, training the people that I was hiring, flexing those customer service skills, working those customer service muscles too, that ability to talk to people. I remember coming out of COVID when I was working at Athleta, and it almost felt like I had to relearn how to talk to strangers, and everything that I did felt awkward. And everything that I said, I would go back and I'd be like, was that weird? Did I say that weird in a weird way? So all of those like little jobs that I did, I think kind of fed into that community piece, being out there meeting people. It all kind of just like showed up in one platter as a park and rec program coordinator for Susquehanna Township, which was really wonderful.
That's really cool. It's interesting because there was almost like a hook in you that was just continually drawing you towards the industry, like everything you were doing. And, I saw the video, you're in it. What even the video doesn't highlight with you being in it is when you were a teen and preteen, right? You're doing park and rec jobs. But when you get to college, you don't even think that's an option. So you're working at camps and front desks and after school programs and daycare and all that. all of that experience would make you, if we were doing our job very well as the industry, all that experience would make you think, well, yeah, I'm just going to go to Parks and Rec. You go to college and think, well, I think I want to do kinesiology. Why? Because you worked at a rec center. Well, you worked at a rec center also watching kids, but you didn't think that was a career opportunity. You only, and you had a passion for fitness, obviously. And so then you thought, I worked at a rec center, a passion for fitness, go to kinesiology. But you obviously have a passion for people and community interactions. It's just one of those things that even when we highlighted you in a video, we don't highlight the fact that you didn't see at first that was the in hindsight, all of us would say that's the obvious job for you as Parks and Rec. It could have saved you 15 years of or 8 years or whatever heartache doing these other jobs. But also that hook, you being so public facing, being so outward facing, being customer service facing, doing weird hours, working the things that people don't always do, managing in a way as a very young professional, quote unquote, in some of these spots, being a key holder, having the responsibility of an opening and closing building are all things that we would think of for like a rec coordinator or a front desk staff member or something. What's also insane is obviously you applied for Pflugerville, which I heard from you about. And I've talked to Jay about this in the past, and maybe even Tom too. The worst thing about the hiring process, you just don't know, really. You have 150 people apply for an assistant director job, right? Assistant director. And if I asked all y'all what you're looking for assistant director, I could probably get some sort of 10 or 15 years, probably a degree. You're looking for maybe a certification. And so that's what you do. You take those 150 people, you run those through those filters, and you get 35 people. The damnedest thing of it all is, you know what? The best assistant director candidate could be the Amazon floor worker who applies for your job, but out of the 150 candidates has no business getting an interview or going through the process. And so you don't ever even consider them. But honestly, they may have the secret sauce. They may have the right mix or intangibles to be the absolute person that company or organization actually needs. And you'll never even get to an interview with them because you had 30 people that have been in the field for 15 or 20 years, have a degree, maybe even a master's, or certified. And so you say, okay, well, we're going to pick from these people. And so the damnedest thing about the hiring process is you really don't know if you're hiring the best candidate. You just are, and it's not a cover your ass thing. You're just trying to use best practices and the best examples of someone who's been in the industry for a while and has done things in the field and has certs. You're just trying to get to that smaller grouping of people and then interview that group of people and make the best decision off those people. But, hearing your story, I could see why we might not have offered you an interview, but it is all the things that actually make you an incredible park and rec professional, but we don't weight it. We don't weight it that way in the process.
Yeah.
So it's the damnedest thing, this hiring process.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that, like even now when I'm thinking about, what's next for me, there's been a little bit of movement in Central Pennsylvania recently, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll, apply, and then I'll go look, at their qualifications, and it says bachelor's degree, and I'm like, well, I don't have that. Like, should I apply? Should I
That'll
not
be
apply?
something. That'll be an extinct animal someday. Like the more and more people we're seeing not pursuing a park and rec degree, that's already peaked. Yeah. But now we're seeing people not pursue a degree at all. And so I think you're even going to see agencies backpedal on that standard at some point. Before the guys hop in, has you being a non-traditional person into this spot that you're in now made you think differently about hiring someone maybe with little or no park and rec experience, but they were in retail for 15 years? Would you give them the shot that you didn't feel like you might have gotten at first?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially like at my level, right? My biggest program is summer camp, and who do you hire at summer camp? It's typically people's first jobs. They have no experience, but it's really cool getting to cultivate young kids, young teens, young adults, teach them those hard and soft skills that you learn being a summer camp counselor, right? Like I tell everyone, like you guys have to talk to adults every day at check-in, asking the parents, how are you? What'd you guys have for dinner last night? Really making those connections with those parents is going to be so important, and they're going to trust you so much more. They're going to think this camp is the best camp ever, right? They're going to be back next summer. Their kids are going to ask about you. You'll see them at the grocery store, right? Like, so teaching these young teens, it's their first job, how to make those connections, even if they don't go into Parks and Rec, that's going to be really valuable to them wherever they go.
Yeah, the skill set that they'll learn or potentially have challenged them in that position are skills that are going to be used regardless of what career path they go down, what they do in their future, just things that you're going to do as an adult. Being able to adapt, being able to accept challenges, being able to just like change things on the fly,
Be
dealing with
responsible.
conflict. Oh yeah. I mean, it's, in some cases it might be too much responsibility if you really think about it. I mean, like we're leaving the lives of children in people's hands that may not have any experience with that. Hopefully there's supervisors that are there that have done that
Yeah.
before versus all first-time employees that are working summer camp. But as a parent, as someone that oversees summer camp, that's been involved in summer camp for 20 years, like, yeah, there's so many things that you will learn that will be used your entire life that you may not even realize it. I mean, that was my first job or my first introduction to park and recreation was summer camp. And that's kind of what hooked me. Fast forward, that was 2001. And now I'm, obviously 20 years in it full time almost. So let me ask you the next question, because you mentioned or you started going down that path of like next steps. And, you kind of use I don't have that degree. I've also seen a lot of other municipalities, go away from the requirement, but use like equivalent experience.
Mhm.
So like, I hope that wouldn't steer you away from applying for something, but is there, goals or plans of like what you want to accomplish to make sure that you set yourself up for that next position?
Yeah, I talk daily about this with my mentor because I love what I'm doing right now and I love camp. And something that's really different about, being with Susquehanna Township is that I've been in this role for 4 years, and in all of my other roles, there was some type of next step just like waiting for me, right? When I was a key holder, the next step was assistant manager. When I was an assistant manager, the next step was being a general manager. So there was always like something that I could look forward to, and didn't seem so far away. And so it's interesting. I am like, there's so many worlds to Parks and Recreation. I know that you don't have to have, put your foot in all of them in order to be a director, but I talk about it daily with my mentor. Like, should I do that? Is that, the best thing for me? Should I move to a department that has aquatics? Because my department, we don't have any pools, and I would love to know more about pools. I'd love to get some experience with pools. I think that it would be helpful for me,
Nah, get away from
whatever
pools.
whatever my next step is, right? I have no experience with maintenance. So just there's all these different little pieces of the Parks and Rec world. And I know that everyone has a different route that they take to get, to be a director or wherever they decide to go. Maybe they stay in camps. Maybe they decide to sell playgrounds instead. But I have no idea. I have no idea what I want to do next. And I trust that the universe will send me an opportunity, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, duh, that's what I'm gonna do.
We'll see what's interesting about that. And Shane and I have had this debate like dozens and dozens of times. And you say people have a different philosophy on like approach of where to go and what to do. And Shane might have like poo-pooed your idea of going to aquatics. And there is a philosophy of like just focus on one skill set and that's what you want to master. And that's Shane's mentality. I'm in the opposite mentality of like, hey, like I wanted to learn about aquatics. I wanted to learn about athletics. I wanted to learn about park ops. I want to learn every aspect of it possible to just be able to be the best I can. And like Shane can, shine his light on his path for it. And there's nothing to say that it's wrong. Everyone's got their own path for it, and it's great. But that's what also makes it unique is that you can have your own path and you can do it any way that you want to see done. And it'll be successful because you'll put your mind to it and you'll be, achieving your goal. But there is no one right way to do it for sure.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Yeah, there are so many different routes in this profession. You just gave me such an amazing visual, by the way, that I don't know if I can use this somehow or not, but you said there are so many different worlds. And as a child of the 80s and 90s, Mario Brothers was a big deal. And now, of course, it's a big deal. And my son plays all the Switch games, so the modern games of Mario Brothers. And the
Right.
whole premise of that are worlds. And I just thought of it like as our profession is almost kind of like that. There's the park op world and there's different steps along the way
Yeah.
there. Again, the aquatics, whatever it might be. So kind of neat to think of it that way and the different directions you can take and transfer kind of from one world to the next, which we've had with some of our guests, like Chris Hunter a couple guests ago. So speaking of that, you mentioned I think another kind of maybe a side world of what we do here is the professional development piece. I can't speak for other professions because I found this profession really young. It wasn't my intended profession though, but I found it young and I fell in love with it young. So I did a lot of, smaller jobs, but full-time wise, this is it. I was, Parks and Rec and I've been there my entire, I would say, professional career of at least a full-time capacity. And even like yourself, I relate to even the jobs that I had before that, my college and high school jobs. I did, just like Shane said, there was a hook. They were all related to Parks and Rec. I didn't do anything that was outside of this realm. So the other piece, though, that kind of side world is professional development. Like I said, I can't speak for other professions, but I can't imagine that there's other professions that have the professional development and robust, welcoming feel that we have. It's so overwhelming in a good way, the opportunities. And what I've seen with you, Heavenly, and for someone who's been doing this with, the traditional Parks and Rec world since 2022, you've gone in a lot of different directions when it comes to professional development. You mentioned your mentor, and Jay and Shane, you both most likely met Courtney Fox in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had an opportunity to meet her in Pennsylvania and then again have a couple more conversations in Orlando. She's amazing. And so that's a wonderful mentor to have. Great LinkedIn profile. She does a lot of good stuff on there to engage with. So anyway, couldn't have a better mentor, right? And it sounds like you've got amazing people around you. You mentioned your boss, all that. So let's talk a little bit about what you've accomplished, though, in just 3 short years. And that is the outstanding new professional for your state, 30 under 30 for NRPA, chairing a state conference. I don't think that's typical for someone who's 3 years into their career. That there's a lot of, it's kind of like that story you told earlier about getting the key. You were given a pretty big key chairing a conference.
Yeah.
Tell me about that side of it, the professional development side. I'm going to just, again, and you can totally prove me wrong, I'm going to assume you didn't have a lot of that with the other avenues you were taking before you got to this position. What does that mean to you, and how has that kind of drawn you closer to the profession and maybe even aided to your success?
I think that, when you're being rewarded, it's really easy to just eat a little bit more. I think that me personally, I'm really hungry. Like I always am looking for something to do, always looking for something to learn, always looking for the next place that I'm going to go, right? In every aspect of my life. And I think that because I have that in me, whatever that, I don't know what I would even call that dog in me, I feel like I just am always looking for the next thing that I can do and accomplish. And that hasn't always been me, I don't think. I was never really like a career-oriented person. I was like, oh, I'll, do this job and it pays my bills and gives me a little extra money to travel and this is great. But I've never really been someone that's like so focused on their career until now. And you're right. Yeah, like being given the key to chair a conference felt crazy. But like I said at the beginning, I also have a hard time saying no to things. So that probably works in my favor as well. Being someone, if someone says no to things, right, you're going to miss out on opportunities. I remember when I found out that I won the NRPA 30 under 30, I was in Louisville, Kentucky. It was my 46th state back in January. And we were like walking around the cemetery, which is where Colonel Sanders is buried. And oh my gosh, what's the boxer? Muhammad Ali? Is that who it is?
It's a pretty good twosome, those two.
Yeah, another fighter is buried in
Joe Louis?
Who is it?
Joe Louis, wasn't he from Louisville?
No, it's a bigger name, and there's a whole, I think maybe it is Muhammad Ali. Why does that not sound right, though? I don't know. I'll have to fact check that later. I obviously wasn't paying a whole lot of attention on that trip. But we were walking around the cemetery, and I started to get all these alerts on my phone from LinkedIn of like messages of congratulations. And I was like, what are these people talking about? Like, what's going on? And I remember I was like, I guess I'll open my work email on vacation. And I opened it and I saw that I won NRPA's 30 under 30. I was like, no way. Like, this is crazy. I'm only, at that point, I hadn't even hit 3 years yet, right? I hit 3 years in February, 2 weeks later. So that felt really surreal. The imposter syndrome kind of weighted over me a little bit. But yeah, I think just like that, whatever I have in me, that desire for more, I think is really great. But the other piece of it is I feel like for me, it's not so much status and accolades for myself as much as it is, more opportunities for my community, right? It's easier for me to get my name's out there, right? People know me, they trust me more. And then I can give more to my community. Like everything that I have, everything that I am is not for me. It's for everyone else, right? Like my mom put me on this earth to be heaven on earth. Like that's literally why she named me Heavenly. And I just want to give that. I want to share that. I want to show that. I want to teach that. I want to support people in whatever their mission is, whatever they want to do. And so that maybe that's what it is that's in me, is that like desire, the namesake, to just serve.
I think that's going to go down as probably like the greatest line ever said on this podcast is, I'm put on this earth to serve and my name is Heavenly, so I can be heaven on earth. Like, no, how are you going to top that?
Yeah, I'm lucky my parents didn't name me Richard, because I think I was put on here for a different reason.
To be rich.
They should have.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think
Good
that's
spin,
the
good
nickname
spin.
I was thinking of.
Is that your middle name?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a second. So you are at some point post high school finding yourself. You went to college. College wasn't for you. You did this job. You liked it. You jumped to that job. It wasn't for you. You get married at some point. I've got 4 kids from 18 to 25. And, they're trying to find their way in this world right now, too. And some of them have not gone to college. Some of them have tried 3 or 4 jobs. What was your family and your friends' reaction to you getting into the park and rec industry? And then what was their reaction when, in less than 3 years, you have a 30 under 30, you're running a state conference, you're one of the people they're highlighting as far as an industry-wide video. What was the reaction to some of that?
Yeah, I have the best support system ever. Harrisburg, where I live, is a really cool city. It's really small. I would not be who I am, where I am, without my friends and my family at all. Like, at all. They, walk my dogs for me when I have late night events. They, stop by my house to check on my cats when I'm on vacation, right? Like, they really are my support system. And because I didn't grow up in Harrisburg, I don't have as much access physically to my family as I would like. Most of them are in Maryland. My mom, for up until the last year, had been living in Hawaii, so she was even further.
She found her own heaven on earth, huh?
She did. She moved back, and we're still questioning why she did that. I think she might have a brain tumor, because I would never come back. But no, my friends and family have been such a great support system, showing up to my events, being volunteers, bringing me lunch, in the middle of the day. I'm having a busy day at camp and I forgot to pack a lunch. I don't eat the lunch that camp eats because I'm a health nut. So they'll send me a smoothie. I really have the best people behind me. That person that I ended up marrying back in 2019, we're no longer married. We got divorced pretty quickly right after, and he is who I moved to Pennsylvania for. So that was really hard, and that was right before COVID happened. So there was a time where, COVID was really isolating and you don't have as much of that community. And as soon as things opened back up and reopened, and I felt like, I was able to be out there and do things, it just kind of felt really natural to me. And I've really curated an amazing group of friends, professionally. They're all doing really cool things. They're business owners. One of my best friends is the president of our Chamber of Commerce. My current boyfriend, he works in, the cybersecurity world. So there's a good mixed bag of people in my life, and they all kind of serve a purpose. And they've all been really helpful in their own individual ways, which is really, really amazing.
I love that. We talk about cultivating a tribe in the industry, but she has cultivated this support group. And that's not something we talk about a lot, but this is a taxing job on your spouses and partners and family and friends. And, we were talking about it offline a little bit for a different reason, but I've had change.orgs for my firing in my time in the industry. I've been sued for my time in the industry. And, we have a colleague that I just recently found out had to wear a bulletproof vest for a while for their time in the industry. And so this is a really tough job on the person that's providing that space, providing those community opportunities, providing those facilities and programs. But it's really tough on family and friends to watch you go through that. The Barbie episode where her husband had to watch her get fired in front of everyone in that town hall. And I think the next vestige our industry needs to figure out isn't so much work-life balance, because I don't think we have the type of balance you see in a 9 to 5. It's just not that way. But making sure your support system and your mental health is good, away from the job, because the job will take everything you give it, right? It will gladly take the 80 hours a week if that's what you give it. It'll gladly take every ounce of energy and love and emotion that you have for it. And then you can come back. And if you don't have this really supportive group that fills you back up, or understands you need space, or understands you were at a council meeting for 6 hours and didn't get the result you wanted, that very first interaction, that very first conversation, the first things that said can be difficult,
Yeah,
And so I love
absolutely.
that
I'm a
you've
huge
created.
advocate for therapy. My therapist has been really amazing. I didn't have like a really traumatic childhood at all, so there's no like real purpose that I've been in it. I really wanted to be better myself. I see health as this like full circle, or pie, I guess, and that mental health piece is so, so, so important, because it not only helps you like kind of work through things, but they also give you tools to keep in your toolbox, how to communicate better about your needs, how to understand other people's needs better, right? So I can go to my boyfriend and say, hey, summer camp is coming up. When I get home from camp, I'm going to need about 30 to 45 minutes to decompress, take a shower, wash the kids off, wash my sunscreen and bug spray off. And then I can, he works from home, so he doesn't talk to anyone all day. So when
He's
I get
excited.
home,
You get there.
he wants to chat. He
Yeah.
wants to chat. But being able to just express my needs and say like, hey, my need is this. I wouldn't have been able to do that without therapy, right? That, being able to advocate for myself and keeping those tools in my toolbox, even for just the middle of the day. Like maybe I just need to take 15 minutes and scroll through TikTok just to like clear my mind. Maybe I turn my phone off for, one night a week, but being able to just recognize what I need has been really great too.
Yeah, I really enjoy this conversation, and I'm glad you brought that up. And, kind of going maybe a little deeper into what you do on a day-to-day. You mentioned summer camp. Shane, you mentioned that the job will take everything you give it. The other part of that is, and maybe even, the whole story about the bulletproof vest, that's very extreme. However, the people will take everything that you will
Everything.
give it. I would say the overwhelming majority of them will take it and be appreciative. But
Sure.
there's a percentage though that are not. And
They want more.
they want more, and they have no problem telling you how you're doing your job wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every level. So it doesn't matter the level. Summer camp, and summer camp is this unique, we're all known for our summer camp, and it's such a big part of what we do because it is. I mean, you said it earlier, perhaps we're giving these young individuals too much responsibility, because as a parent of young children now, the way that I address our summer camp staff is a lot different than I did 5 years ago when I didn't have children. I have a 3-year-old and a newborn now, and there's
What's their names? Real quick. You got them all?
I do. Maisie, Amelia, Jack.
Oh, look at that.
Did them in reverse order. All right. So what I kind of wanted to ask to what you had just talked about with just coping and advocating for yourself. How do you work through the individuals, the parents, and I won't even say the kids. Yes, there's some kids that are challenging, but the parents, right? How do you work through that? The negativity. I think some of the time when we get whatever it might be, a complaint or an issue that happens at camp, or in any kind of program when we're dealing with people's children, yeah, a lot of the time it's okay. We understand. There might have been a communication breakdown. There are also times though when parents cross a line. They cross a line with the staff, they cross a line with you as the supervisor,
Mhm.
and it's hard. It is it's hard because you draw that line of wanting to be right and them being wrong, but what we do, it's very hard for us to say that. We can't say that. We're public servants to an extent. So yeah, how do you deal with it? Which,
Yeah.
what are some of your tactics to, breathe or whatever it might be to get through those moments and some of the criticism that I think we inevitably get from all the hard work we put in, and it sometimes doesn't matter. Comes up short.
Yeah, definitely. I nasty emails, I like to read 3 times. One time just to read it, right? Second time, try to figure out what the issue is, and then the third time to try to figure out where they're coming from. A couple summers ago, I had a parent email me, and we have a rule about not bringing cash on field trips to pool days, anything like that. We don't do concession stands. All of the meals are included. Everything that we do is included. And it just kind of keeps an equal playing field for everyone. Not everyone's going to be able to bring cash. I don't know what their home lives are, after they leave camp, how they afforded to come to camp. That's not my business. My business is making sure they have fun and making sure that everything's fair and that everyone's happy. I had a parent email me, and she wanted to know why her daughter wasn't able to bring cash to a field trip, and that, it would teach responsibility to their daughter, and, the importance of, learning how to manage money, blah, 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 all the things. Sure, absolutely. I 1000% understand where she's coming from. We are not a school. We are not teachers. We are facilitators of fun, right? So we're here to have fun, and we're here to make sure everyone has fun. And we can't have fun if that child loses their money, someone else steals it, it gets wet in the swimming pool, right? Like that stops fun for us. And my goal, and we have a lot of rules. We don't have a lot of rules at our camp, but I'm very strict about my rules at my camp. And they're all meant to make sure that we don't have to not have fun, right? If we're keeping our hands to ourselves, we can continue to have fun. As soon as you put your hands onto someone else, fun stops, and now we have to be serious, and now we have to fill out a form, and our counselors don't want to do that. I don't want to have to call your mom and tell her to come pick you up. She paid a lot of money for this camp, right? So all of our rules are to ensure that our campers are having fun. And if you follow those rules, everyone has fun. So that email was, I screenshot it and sent it to a couple friends, and I said, look at this woman, like, this is crazy what she's asking of me, of our counselors, right? Of her child. It's not fun. And so, yeah, I had to read it 3 times, once to just read it, screenshot it, send it to my friends and family. Second time, figure out what the actual issue is. And the third time to figure out where she's coming from. Now, having ChatGPT, that's really wonderful because I can say, hey, I just got this email. This is our rule. How can I respond to this message in a way that lets her know that I'm not budging on this rule, but that I do care that she feels, badly about the situation? Because I do. I really do care. And I'm not perfect. And ChatGPT is not perfect either, but sometimes ChatGPT gives me, I'm like, oh yeah, duh, I could have used that word in my email. Or I'll type the email and I'll pop it in and be like, how can I make this sound a little bit sweeter? Because I don't want to come off not sweet, right? So just that, like, perfecting the message and ensuring that the message is understood correctly is really important to me, because I never want my words to get lost in translation, and I never want to feel like I don't want to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth off of a miscommunication. So
No, it's a really great approach. I just add to that too is that first time you read it, and I don't know that I've ever done the approach exactly like that, but I think maybe the basis behind it has a lot of that into it. And the first time I read it is that time, and that's for everybody on our team too. That's your time to get angry. That's your time to be angry. You read it once, you gotta let it sit there for a minute or two. It's not your time to respond. The other piece that I just kind of try to instill, at least for myself and my team, is the 24-hour rule. And it's hard. It is so hard for some individuals because, again, I said it before, they want to be right. You know what I mean? Or maybe we are, maybe we feel that we are right and we want to let that person know. It's just, you can't. And yes, ChatGPT will help you to really alleviate kind of the blow of trying to deliver a message if you're struggling with it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other piece too is talking to people in person. So sometimes if parents
Oh
send
yeah.
me emails, I'll be like, hey, can we have this conversation tomorrow morning at drop
Yep.
off? Are you free? Do you have 10 minutes? Because I smile.
Yeah.
I'm very smiley,
Yeah.
and it's a lot nicer me telling you, no,
Yeah.
they can't bring money
Yeah.
to camp if I'm smiling and they can see that. So yeah, just like that, waiting the 24 hours, but then having the conversation in person, right? A lot can get messed up in
Oh yeah.
text messages and emails and
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, people tend to soften up a lot when you're in person. The other,
absolutely.
and even sometimes too, and then of course if they take it to social media, we've had that plenty of times, and that gets misconstrued, but not only misconstrued by one person, gets misconstrued by everybody who puts eyes on it. And
Hmm.
it would just we could have just solved this if you just would have called us or came in. We can
Yeah.
talk through it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Luckily for me, I have a few parents that I think that if I ran for president, they would like vote for me blindly that are in our township's Facebook group like Heavenly's amazing. This camp's amazing. This is great. This is great. I'm like, wow, you guys do the work for me. It's awesome.
yes, it's very important to have cheerleaders in the community for sure.
Yeah.
So, Heavenly, we're going to move on to our segment of rapid fire. We're going to each ask you maybe a question or two that are more meant to be a little light, a little quicker. And so I'll get us kicked off. I want to start with I mentioned with Courtney Fox, I really love when people put out content on LinkedIn it's teaching a lesson or showing an example of things that we deal with on the day to day. So I do love looking at those at what people put out there on LinkedIn. And when your general LinkedIn page has a little bit of a slogan, and I love that too. A lot of people have some kind of slogan or something, right? And yours is something that I think is very interesting. You mentioned that camp, we're not school, we're here for fun. And if this doesn't happen, then the fun stops. Well, your tagline is here for work, but making it fun. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where it came from and the mindset behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, LinkedIn is for work, right? But it's important to me that my personality shows in everything that I do, and my personality is rooted in having fun. So, I don't remember how it came to me. I think it was one of those things, it was like a shower thought where I was like in the shower, I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for work, but we're having fun. And I was like, that kind of sounds good. And I was like, here for work but making it fun. And I was playing with it. And I think I changed it on LinkedIn a few times and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. But LinkedIn can be such a stale place, especially prior to me being in Parks and Recreation, right before I was connected to all these other parks people. I was connected to people in the corporate world and the retail world and fitness world, and not a lot of color, not a lot of, fun fonts and sparkles and glitter and smiling kids on the screen. And so for me, that was something that just kind of showcased who I am, right? I'm here on LinkedIn because I have to be, because it helps me get my next job, but I can make it fun. So,
Okay, I want to hear about your travel, and I
okay.
want to know what was the 50th state. What was the last state you went to? And did you have a favorite state?
Yeah. My last state was Montana, and it was amazing. It's beautiful. I actually had four. They were like, my goal was to hit all 50 before I turned 30 in July. There were four states that I had left, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And I was like, oh, this is kind of perfect. I can do all of them in one trip. So we flew into Oregon, gallivanted around Portland a little bit, went out to the coast to Tillamook, ate a lot of cheese and ice cream, put my feet in the ocean, and then we drove up to Spokane, Washington. So I actually have never been to Seattle, which I think will change my opinion on Washington perhaps, but Spokane's very different. Then we went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which I don't know if you guys know anything about Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but at one point it was like the white supremacist capital of America. The Aryan Nation was headquartered there. So that was really interesting for me personally. My boyfriend is white, and we were doing, our pre-trip research, and he came across some posts on Reddit about Coeur d'Alene and some of its struggles. And initially our plan was to spend a night there. And my boyfriend was like, I actually don't know that I'm comfortable doing that. I'm the first woman of color that he's ever dated. He's not the first white man that I've ever dated, right? So I have a little bit of experience with dealing with racism, whether it's, grandparents or whatever. But for him, it's new, and I understood that, and I had to be gentle. And even if it's about me, it's really about him. So we agreed not to spend a night there. And when we got there, I was like, this place is beautiful. There was this gorgeous giant lake. They had, I think it was Memorial Day. Yes, it was Memorial Day weekend. So they had a 5K race happening. There were all these people out boating and stand-up paddle boards, and they had those planes that are also boats going in and out of the water. It was a gorgeous day. The mountains were beautiful. I'm like, this place? I was like, man, I wish I could spend the entire time of our trip here. But we didn't. We just grabbed lunch. My rule for counting it as a state that I visited was I either had to have a real meal there or sleep there or drive across the longest stretch of the state. So like for Kansas, I didn't have a real meal, but I drove across the entire longest part of Kansas. But then we ended in Montana. We did Helena and Bozeman, and it was really hard to beat Montana. But I think ultimately Utah was my favorite.
Cool.
It just was, I think that I was so surprised by Utah. Prior to going, I hadn't really thought about Utah at all. And I spent a month there during COVID. It's just had everything, the Salt Flats, the Alpine, the Rad Rocks. All the national parks were closed during COVID, but the state parks next to them were all open. So I got to see the same terrain. It was really, Utah was just like a really special place, and I feel like it's not talked about enough. And maybe that's their brand, is like, don't talk about us, people don't go.
We talk about food a lot. When you are going on these trips, are you looking up and researching the food? Okay, I see a yes, a resounding nod of yes. So my question is, what does one eat and research in Idaho? Because I don't know if Idaho's on my list. No offense, Idaho, I'll go. I'm just saying, what does one eat in Idaho?
None taken, and I'll also do you one better. Idaho, we had there was this really cool restaurant that was on the lake.
Potatoes.
And I think I had like some type of quesadilla, but had meat in it, and it was so much meat. And whatever sauce they served it with, I was like, oh. But Sleeper City, Fargo, North Dakota. So with this, when I was doing North Dakota, I was like, oh, I don't need to spend a lot of time there because, it's nothing. There's nothing there. We flew into Minneapolis, drove to Fargo. We're like, we're going to do a night in Fargo and then go back to Minneapolis. And when we were checking out of our hotel in Fargo, I was almost in tears. Sad that we were leaving and that I didn't have more time. The hotel we stayed in was like a market that had all these different food places. It had a bar. It had all this cool architecture, murals on the walls. All of the hotel rooms were like individually curated. I had the best pierogies of my life in Fargo, North Dakota. Everyone was so nice. It was a college town. There was karaoke at all the bars. And if no one at PRPS has told you, I'm the karaoke queen here. So Fargo, North Dakota, that's a sleeper city. You have to get there. You absolutely have to get there.
All right.
Okay.
Good to know.
I was going to ask your surprise state, and you said that with Utah, and then I was going to ask about a potential meal. You kind of answered it with the Idaho meal, but I love travel. I know the idea is that I don't actually but I like to travel by car.
Solitary.
Car traveling is great.
I love to car travel. And one of the things I like about car travel is you get to eat a lot of food on the road. It's not great for you, but it's kind of germane to that state or that area. And what I also like is gas station food. I like going into a convenience store and grabbing crap that I wouldn't eat any other time, but on a road trip, none of the calories count. So what is your convenience store road trip go to? What are you grabbing when you pull into a Buc-ee's or whatever and you've got 6 hours still left of driving to get where you're going? What are you using to get you through?
I'll usually grab an energy drink like an Alani or Reign or Bang. And then I'm not much of a sweets person typically. So I'll usually grab like Cheetos, cheese puffs, a protein bar, because even though I'm on a road trip, I still have to get my protein in.
Right.
So I'll get some type of protein bar. If it's like a hot food, like a Sheetz or a Wawa, I love like a cold cut sub. This is a recent development. I didn't always like cold cuts. Only in the past like 3 years of my life have I been interested in cold cuts. But like a nice turkey BLT if there's like a made to order section, I love that. And Shane, also, one of the reasons that I applied for that job in Pflugerville was because I am obsessed with Whataburger.
Oh, really? Now we're talking. Yeah, Whataburger's a great road trip meal. So is Buc-ee's. I don't know if you've been in a southern part
Yep.
of the world. Buc-ee's is just a great spot to stop. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you can learn a lot about people about their convenience store order, their road travel stop meal.
Yeah.
Wawa's
Have any of you guys
is-
been to Philly?
I
Uh,
was there last year when I went
Okay.
to one of the PRPS events for a
Okay.
very, very quick cup of coffee. So I didn't
Okay.
get to go in the city. I found a place. I looked it up. Closest place that I can get a decently rated cheesesteak, and I'm looking forward to a few cheesesteaks when we go to NRPA next year.
I am too.
Yeah.
I had a layover, a decently long layover one time, like 8 hours, and I rented a car and I just got to drive by the Liberty Bell, just see the location. I grabbed a cheesesteak. It might not have been 8 hours, but I got to do a couple things. I got to go see Constitution Hall, like literally just drive by it really
Yeah.
slow and look for a second. And I'm super excited about Philly. Just the history,
Yeah.
the food, the people.
The food is amazing
exciting.
and the cheesesteaks are really good, but there's a lot of other really good food in Philly too.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, and yeah, there and the cheesesteaks, there's like a couple different kinds too, like the ones with, the real like gooey orange cheese or chopped up with
Whiz.
some, yes,
Whiz.
whatever
Yeah,
you call
Wiz.
it.
Well, yeah, I like a provolone with a
I
light
do too.
mayo.
Yeah, a provolone, and I've been getting into that on the Blackstone. Just kind of you put it all on there and just mix it. Last night, this has nothing to do with but I gotta tell you about this. I saw this on TikTok, and it was a mixture of Buffalo. Jay, you might appreciate this, and Philly, two of their most popular, famous subs. So it's called a stinger. Has anybody heard of this? Yeah, so
No.
it's a buffalo chicken sub and a Philly cheesesteak, literally just in the same sub. So you take your buffalo chicken, whatever, however you make it, and your Philly cheesesteak.
Heavenly is giving you a smirk right now that she is not impressed with whatever dumb
Well.
food choice you have just made.
Well, okay, so my question was there are chicken cheesesteaks, so would you use both steak, like
No.
beef and chicken?
Yes, but it's
Okay.
not chicken. It's not like that. It's
Okay.
She was judging you so harshly, dude.
It's
wow.
I'm like thinking of two different textures of meat, right?
It
Like
is.
big,
It
huge-
is. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
okay.
exactly what it is. It's like buffalo chicken cutlets, so it's
Okay.
not like chopped chicken. So you put like the cutlet and yeah, it was wild. It was an
Okay.
You're not
experience.
Well,
winning
you
her
learned it
over.
on TikTok, so I might believe you because I am a TikTok connoisseur.
Oh, I
So
love
maybe
it.
I'll trust that.
It was worth the try.
I'm gonna send you a video. There's a restaurant here in Charlotte called Buffalo Eats,
Okay.
and that's like their specialty is
stinger?
a Philly cheesesteak with a stinger. It's
Awesome.
combined.
It's awesome.
That
So
sounds
you're-
good.
you're not alone.
I'll eat it.
Cool.
Oh, Jay, to answer your question, is the band from Rockville that you like, is it OAR?
Yep, that's
Okay,
it.
cool.
Man, it's
Yeah,
a pretty
I got into them in
mainstream
high
band.
school, and I've probably
Okay.
seen them 20 times in the last 10 years, 15 years. I see them. I mean,
Oh, wow.
whenever they come by, I've gone, and I mean, there was a time in high school and college where I would go like 3, 4 shows, like back to back to back.
Wow.
Good time.
OAR or
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you've never heard of OAR?
no, I don't know. I mean,
And this is probably not fair. This is just I grew up, obviously I'm same age as Jay, so we probably had a lot of this. We were probably at some of the same concerts, definitely Darian Lake,
Yeah.
Dave Matthews, stuff like that. I feel like OAR was kind of a younger spin-off of like a Dave Matthews. I know it's not the same music, absolutely not, but
well, Jay loves Dave Matthews too, right?
I know.
Yeah.
A lot of people who probably, there's probably a lot of OAR fans that were Dave
yeah.
fans.
I mean, they came into the scene a little bit later.
Yep.
Like I went to my first Dave Matthews Band show in '98. I don't think I saw OAR till probably like 2000, maybe 2001. So like, yeah, just a
Wow.
few years later.
High school, college, yeah.
But I've been going to see him ever since.
How big of
Yeah.
a deal are they in Rockville?
Not too big of a deal for my generation.
Okay.
Okay. The other person that's from Rockville is I think it's either the guitarist or the drummer for what's the band with Darius Rucker?
Hootie?
Hootie and the Blowfish, yeah.
Oh,
Someone
heard
from
of
Hootie and
them.
the Blowfish went to a high school in my county, so
that's cool.
Listen,
Yeah.
this is an affront on my age. She is gone. She said something. I wrote it down. 13 in 2008. Okay, like that was a stab in the heart. Like if there was an HR, I would file a complaint right now. Um,
Yeah,
my
all the
last
music that
question.
Shane listens to on yacht
You know,
radio is from the 70s.
before Shane asks his last question, it's kind of funny in this, Jay, how old's Noah?
He'll be 13 in
13.
February.
So 13. And my oldest is 5. We are getting to, you ever have those conversations with people who are like, oh, I could be your father. I can be your, we're getting into the territory where some of the individuals we have are as old as Shane's oldest child.
True.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's an affront.
That's pretty
Okay,
cool though.
It is cool.
my last question is: so all 50 states, you traveled at some point through all of them. There had to be a meal that you were surprised by. Like, damn, I didn't know I would get blank in Jackson Hole, or I didn't know I'd get great sushi in, you know, Alabama or whatever. What was the meal you were most surprised by?
Probably the pierogies in Fargo, or the burgers in Utah. They have every kind of burger restaurant except for Whataburger. They have In-N-Out, they have Astro Burger, they have, I mean, there's every type of burger you can get, and the Hawaiian food, I guess, in Utah. There's a really big Polynesian population in Utah. I think the Mormons, went to Hawaii, did their Mormon thing, and converted them, and then the Mormon Polynesian people kind of came back to Utah. And there's actually a direct flight from Salt Lake to Hawaii, and there's some really interesting history about a lot of the airlines, like
Wow.
the big commercial airlines. A lot of them were formed in Utah by like college kids. It's really crazy.
Really?
Yeah, there's another podcast called How I Built This. It's an NPR podcast, and they interviewed the people that have founded a couple of the airlines, and a lot of them are from Utah. It's really strange.
That's cool.
We keep reaching out to NPR, but they're ignoring us right now. So
They're probably not funded right now.
Good point. Yeah, that and maybe some of the curse words. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Maybe.
We have to massage some of our
I don't know.
content.
Meg the Stallion did a tiny desk for NPR. I feel like if they can handle her, they can handle you guys, right?
that's right. That's right.
Well, now I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm old. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
go watch the NPR Tiny Desk series. They're really good too.
Tiny Desk is awesome. We just talked about it on our recent episode, actually.
I know
Big
of the
Tiny Desk
name
fan.
Meg the Stallion, but if she was standing on my front toe, I couldn't probably identify
She's from Texas.
that.
She's from Houston, right? Yeah, Houston.
Well, Heavenly, this was awesome. This was a really, really great conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
We had a lot of fun with you. I hope you enjoed it as well.
I hope you're
and-
recording.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's check. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
we
we
are
are.
recording. We've only made that mistake once, so
That's
you
impressive.
know. But yes, we enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Heavenly.
It was
Great to see
great.
you
Thank
again.
you
All
guys.
Good to
right.
see you again.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See ya.
She has so much composure. Like we have young professionals on, and you can their temperament or their pacing or how they're talking. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes there's a lot of and uhs. I mean, she's a 39 and 30 winner. She's only been in the industry 4 or 5 years, and she is just very composed. Knows who she is, knows what she's about. It's really a breath of fresh air in some ways.
Yeah.
Very open, in terms of all the conversations and everything she's gone through. And, also you talked about the composure. It's no surprise to me that she was given that key at 20
Mm.
years old,
Yeah.
right? And that's the kind of individual she is. And I know at 20 that was probably a shock, but she definitely has just an air of responsibility and confidence that is probably hard to come by for someone that is in, again, that stage of her career at 20. And obviously it's carried on through where
I was actually going to reference the confidence, and there's a fine line between like confidence and cocky, but for her, it comes off as 100% confidence and not cocky at all.
Mhm.
And I love that about her with the, other experience that she's pulled from to have that much confidence.
Yeah, I think she's we'll see her a couple years as a director, and she won't look back. She'll have a huge impact on some agency. Seems like she's crescendoing in that direction.
So, other fun fact I'm going to share and test Shane's knowledge because I always do this. So, Susquehanna, I actually have a relative that goes to college there and is on the football team. So, Shane, what do you think their mascot is?
Crusaders?
No, it's the Susquehanna Riverhawks.
Riverhawks. That makes so much more sense, than
Yeah.
Crusaders. Sure.
I love that.
This is kind of a funny thing, but I can imagine that the individuals, I know that Heavenly talked about the impact and maybe what the summer camp staff will get out of the experience. And that's great to think about. I don't know if it's talked about enough that the skills that they all gain from that, whatever they end up doing,
Yeah.
are really not like what you're going to find in the pizzeria, right? That we talk about that. I talk about that all the time from a perspective with some of our younger staff to say, you want to go and work at a pizzeria because maybe it's fun and you get to mess around
They
in the
pay
back and
$1 more
there's
an hour or
food
something,
and they
yeah.
pay a couple bucks an hour. I never even thought of it from the skills. I think of it from the fun perspective. This job is fun. This job is going to, you can parlay this into other opportunities, but some of the skills that you have to develop being a part of a summer camp. And what I wanted to say is, Christmas is coming. The holidays are coming. I know we haven't reached Halloween yet, but we will by the time this episode comes out. And I don't know, Elf. Who doesn't love a good Elf meme or GIF? And you know how I think at one point he goes, "Smiling's my favorite."
Right.
And Heavenly said she smiles a lot, and I can't imagine a better person for summer camp staff to relate to learn from. She's great.
Yeah, she was a great room host. I'm sad that she had to room host our room.
Yeah,
had to
probably.
deal with us the whole time.
All right, guys. Another one in the books. 90.
Good times.
90.
Who's
I think
next?
I'm next.
All right,
Okay.
Shane is next. We're looking forward to that. And we'll see everybody next time on RecLess. Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.